Hey guys, so welcome to today's live stream. So 24th of March today. Lots happening now, and so we're going to look at today Italy versus the UK. I'm going to look at that bell curve that we've been talking about for so long. What can I say? It's an amazing thing when you start to just look at numbers and without knowing how many ventilators they've got and all this sort of things. It's an amazing thing just to sit there and go, actually, do you know what? There is so many, like when you look at China and its map, and you look at Italy, and you look at the UK, and you look at various places, you can see that the stark difference between the countries that got in early and took measures really early on, they really have slowed that, flattened the curve successfully. The ones that haven't and left it really are starting to get that, proper bell curve, and in fact, most of them are still going up. But the interesting thing, and I think the real one that we're going to see and really is going to come to light and going to be painful, is the American one, because they still haven't, they haven't sorted the virus thing out, and they haven't sorted the economics out, because they're playing politics with it. They're trying to fund the corporations and the big business, but not the individual people. And one thing I'm really strict on, and I think really has to be done, is get the money into the individuals' pockets, because that's going to allow your economy to come out of it later on. Problem is, if you're funding the big corporations, what's going to happen is all you're going to get is big corporations with the money, and you're going to decimate everybody else, and then literally those big corporations come in and buy everything up. It is a massive transfer of wealth, and that's what the US are trying to do. And the unfortunate reality is they'll probably get away with it, because that's the ridiculous society they live in, But anyway, guys, so let's get into it now. Where are we? Here we go. So look, there we go. Hold on, here we go. So Worldometers, if you don't know, Worldometers is what the data that I'm using and have been. Interestingly, now I thought this was quite interesting. If you think about it, I've been counting down these things since 30 days. I sort of said, right, I think this is 30 days. Interestingly, that yesterday, at day 24, what happened? Boris locked everything down and said for 3 weeks. 3 weeks takes us, 21 days. I was saying 24 days, 3 days off from what Boris is, but I'm actually a week ahead of his prediction. Now whether he's right or wrong or exact, who knows? And in fact, this is not about exactness, but for me, the reason I went 30 days was because I wanted to give people the ability to do that. But yeah, interesting that we did that. 83 days, and 2020 is still cancelled. Look, do I think the whole world economy is going to go into depression? It could, and it depends on how. See, there's the virus, the virus side, which is one side. We'll get over that, Then there's the human side, which is the psychological and the post-traumatic stress and the financial and that sort of stuff. And then there's the economic. And I think the problem is that if you decimate the people, the human, you look at Trump and how he's responding. He is not human, He is a psychopathic, I'm not even going to go there. But look, the virus, medicine is doing what it can do, given the constraints that the politics is putting on that, And the politics is linked to the economics. The economics, if there's a human tragedy, which is, that's there, and obviously more deaths, more human tragedy. But actually, the one thing that I'm really noticing is the spirit that's started to come out in people. And, crisis is a great thing from that perspective. And that's one positive aspect, is people tend to be at their best in these situations and their worst. If we look at the toilet paper gate, the worst. But the reality is with that is, that the virus will get sorted. The human cost is, who knows, it's going to be huge. And it's going to be, I think, worse because the politics that people are playing. The economics, that's another story. And I think one of the things I love about the UK is actually they've just, it looks like they're just announcing, or tomorrow, the next day, they'll announce self-employed people will get covered for 80% of their wage, which pretty much, that has stopped people from sacking everyone, getting rid of everyone, getting rid of all workers, and having massive unemployment, which is happening in the UK and which is happening in Australia. I think both those guys really have failed in both those countries, and the leadership in those countries has failed. And when we, kick back and we look at this and we sort of turn back around and assess what was the right decisions and what was the, bad decisions, I think the UK, is going to look pretty damn good. All right, which is pretty interesting. But look, let's get into some more of the numbers. So I've changed the numbers a bit because we've got a few more numbers. Oops, sorry. So 381,000 as of yesterday or last night. That's a 50,000 more than 40,000 more than the previous day. Yeah. And then if you go back to the next day, which is the weekend, so we didn't do Saturday, Sunday, but you've got 90,000 more. So it's ramping up worldwide. Absolutely. It's really, you've got the EU and the USA, really starting to hit, heights. Now the interesting thing, if you look at the UK here, we were, 5,600, we're now 6,600. So, it's adding a lot to 1,000 in one day. And that really is the bell curve that we're seeing right now and going up, But look, I think this is going to be, the next 2 or 3 weeks is going to be the really telling time for the EU and the UK. The US, amazingly, they are just so far behind everything. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the US today. We're here, I think the US will be shown to be how not to do a virus. And I hate to say, but Trump, this is not the perfect way to handle this situation at all. In fact, it's the opposite of it. Yeah. If you want the perfect, go and see Boris Johnson. Yeah. Go and see, in fact, the Singapore government, the South Korean government. You're all lip service. Anyway, so let's have a look. So we've got Italy on the left-hand side and the UK on the right. And if you have a look, the 22nd of February is when the first death. So this is deaths recorded. The 7th of March was 2 deaths. Okay, so that was really the start. Okay, 14 days difference between them. So if we track the 14 days all the way down, you can see that pretty much they stay relatively the same until you get to the 7th of March. And on the 7th of March, they're exactly the same. Then they start to, start to differ, all right? So interestingly, that's the 7th of March for Italy and the 14 days difference, so it's the 21st of March. So we're going to start to see, and I want to monitor this to see how we go in terms of, have we successfully flattened the curve? Italy didn't flatten the curve, yeah? So they're going up. Now, arguably, are they going to start to now bring it around? I would hope so, and I would think so, considering, they're now entering into, really, they're now, gone, into their whole month, the 4 weeks, and, we're likely to see, I think we're likely to see that start to come down a little bit, or the numbers come down. The numbers will still be going up, but of course, on the top of that curve, they're starting to get grips with it. The social distancing, the lockdown, all that sort of stuff is starting to have effect, which is great. The UK, we're about to start going into it, I think. I think the next 2 or 3 weeks really are going to be quite devastating psychologically, because people, are going to realise that they shouldn't have been seeing, their mates, their buddies, their pub, all that sort of stuff, and perhaps we should have done it. Now, if we have a look, interestingly, and this is where it all happens, because, and this is the thing, this is day 10, day 15, day 20 again, all right? If we look at this, the schools and universities were shut down relatively early compared to the UK. But then interestingly, that if you have a look at when they shut the bars and clubs, there's a long distance. And when we say long distance, we're talking 10 days, only 10 days. But in the life of this virus, that's a huge thing, okay? So, but you look at what we've done here, we've shut down in the UK, the pubs, the schools and the pubs shut down pretty quickly, and then we've gone into the lockdown. Hopefully that's going to see now that we'll get this, that we won't get the whole bell curve, and we will flatten the curve. I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful, and we've just got to see what's going to go on there, Now, but interestingly, we've got the Bojo and Rishi, show. Really, I stole that from Ren and Stimpy, obviously. But, the bottom line is, I think of all the packages, and we looked at them yesterday in the video yesterday, these guys actually have produced the best results and are still going further and producing really good results. So I think what this will do for me, it means that when the UK comes out and when the world comes out of this, UK will be in the best position to get their economy restarted, and that really is the best we can hope for, and I think, bloody good job on them that they've done this. I think, really, it's actually, fantastic, and I think, God, it could have gone so bad. But look, for me, my thoughts, look, stay at home. Everybody's saying it, but stay at home. But what I'm saying is more than that. Rather than just saying stay at home, work out what your goals. This is time when you can't go anywhere. You can't fill the time with anything else. So spend the time setting some goals, working out, what it is you really want with your life, what's good about your life and what's bad about it, and change these things. But also, be with your family, spend some time with your family, and actually spend time with them. I mean, it's frustrating now. I'm on, this self-imposed self-isolation after flying back from the UK to Singapore for 14 days. And I'm on day 10 now, I think. Day 10, 11, whatever it was. But it's been interesting because I haven't been able to spend time with the kids. I've been not locked in a room, but I've been in my room just hanging out. I've been able to see them and they know I'm here and that sort of stuff. But I haven't been able to do play fights on the beds and sit down and read and all these sort of things. So I think take this time and really get some quality time. And choose your next holiday, plan your next holiday, get something out in the future to look forward to, because I think that's really important from a psychological perspective, to keep your mind active and keep looking forward. Because I can tell you, the next couple of weeks, the news out of the media, and I recommend turn it off. If you need to, just come here every day. The news is going to be pretty bad. It's going to be pretty horrific. It's going to be Italy, what that literally has been the last 2 weeks. And I think, look, learn a new skill. I'm saying to my guys, if they want to learn, teamwork project management, which is the software we use, if they want to learn Excel, but more importantly, if you want to, I'm starting, as of next week, I'll be starting a property for beginners free course. Just come in. It's basically a webinar, and I'll go through my content and explain how I do property and the principles, the fundamentals, the laws, all that sort of stuff, and just for free. Because if you want to learn property, you might as well learn it, and it's a great time to be doing it. You've got the time, so spend the time. The other side of it is on another thing, what we're doing, and so that's twice a week we're doing that beginners, property for beginners. And then 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday, I'm working with Emmanuel Ezekiel, and we're doing personal finance live. So I live stream talking about personal finance and how you can adjust it. And that's specifically for those guys of you that perhaps are concerned about the situation you're in financially, and really looking at how we can change that around and get you the good quality education, the systems, the processes, the disciplines that successful people use, to manage their money, and that's really, because you really need to get that base first before you move on to the rest of the stuff. But look, I think if you're in business right now, what you really need to do is get really creative, and not just you, the business owner, but everybody in the business needs to think, how can we make money? How can we pivot the business, and maybe even permanently, so we can continue to make money, we can continue to exist, so that we can be ready for when the virus goes away and the human tragedy goes away, and we're left with the economics of it, that we have to now make money, and perhaps the government pulls that, the security blanket they've put there, which is fantastic, and I think really for me, what I'm saying to everyone is redefine your relationship with life, your family, your career, your health, your whatever, and really work out where it's going wrong and where you can adjust it. Pivot your life. I mean, you're stuck at home with nothing else to do. So spend time being with yourself. Get used to being with yourself. Most people are never used to that. And I think if you can get that way, fantastic. And finally, I just want to say, look, it's a human tragedy, but it's going to be solved with good medicine, and a human response. And what I mean by a human response is, I'm amazed how many of our landlords are asking about their tenants to make sure they're okay and make sure they're fine. And it's so impressive, that people actually give a shit, and people actually really genuinely realize that we're all in this together. It's not one side, two sides. We're all here together, and I think that's fantastic. But anyway, guys, that's me for today. I hope you've enjoyed that. Remember to subscribe, comment, and guys, thanks very much for listening. And I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow. And we'll add the new, property for beginners and the personal finance next week. I'm just getting it all together, and we're organising it all. But looking forward to it. I mean, actually, I'm really enjoying these live sessions. It's first time I've really got into the live, but we're starting to get the technology right too. All right, guys, thanks very much. Have a great night. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you later, and stay at home. See you guys. Bye.